Anything stand out from the head coach's conversation?
Yes, a few things did. First off, the Devontae Lee switch remains fascinating. Now, it did sound like maybe they're not as married to him as a traditional linebacker. It sounds like it's still a bit up in the air, right?
Hybrid.
But here, 6'1", 230, and then think about the speed of a wide receiver combined with that, and think about where the game has gone nowadays in terms of smaller, faster, kind of hybrid linebackers being ideally what the NFL and what strategy demands, right? As teams go spread, you have to have more coverage ability. Obviously, Devontae Lee looks like he would fit that. It also is interesting because it gives you a nice guy. We talk a lot about like the Taysom Hill to Tommy Stevens thing, right? They're kind of like represent their own unique position. Jacoby Stevens does in a way as well. And now you have Devontae Lee that maybe kind of mirrors Stevens. They're about the exact same size, and so he can kind of learn at his feet. What were you going to say?
No, I mean, are you done on that topic?
Well, I was wondering, is Marcel, what's Marcel Brooks' role right now?
Kind of seems like he's an outside linebacker.
Okay. Is he going to be up on the line? So I'm wondering if he fits in there as well. Either way, the Devontae Lee was interesting. Then a guy that you talked about before the show, Chris Curry.
That's what I was going to say stood out. I mean, again, you just hear his name at running back.
Yeah.
I mean, almost a forgotten name up until the college football semifinal.
Yep.
To the playoff. And then, arguably outside of the heroes, outside of Burrow, Jefferson, and Chase, I mean, he's the player of the game.
Yeah, no, he did very well. You can only, the best thing you can do as an athlete is when opportunity comes your way, you have to make most of it. And he did. He kicked ass. And he's a great story, like a Patrick Queen, but even maybe to a further extent, he's a great story for younger players to look at in terms of, okay, biding your time, not getting discouraged, keeping your head down, continuing to work. Remember, there was all this excitement around Emory and TDP committing, and they were the 5 stars, and they were immediately going to take those jobs, and then all of a sudden Clyde emerges. But then there's still Emory and TDP, and they're the ones playing to the regular season. And Curry at that point has to feel like he's completely buried on the depth chart. But instead of getting discouraged, he keeps working hard. He kicks ass in practice, and he earns his way to playing time on what was the biggest stage. And then when he got in the game, he made the most of that playing time, and I think he's carried that momentum into the offseason if talking to people around the program is to be believed. And then I guess the last thing that stood out to me is, we always talk about Kevin Faulk, but for whatever reason, I never really considered, Kevin Faulk's obviously an unreal guy to ask about the Patriots' philosophy, right, and how they do things. And we hear so much about what does Coach O call? Not the LSU way, the LSU expectation.
The standard of performance.
The LSU standard of performance. Well, what that really is an amalgamation of all these different philosophies that Coach O has chosen from over the year. And why it gets crazy is when you throw Bill Belichick into that influencer grab bag, you're talking about some of the best football coaches of all time. You're talking about Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. You're talking about Pete Carroll. Now you're talking about Bill Belichick as well. Like that is as far as mentors go.
Marcus Allen.
Yeah, who better to learn under? Yeah, and absolutely. And then you even get past that, and there's all kinds of great football minds and names. But I mean, that is the best of the best when you're talking about those three. And so having Kevin Faulk on the staff is such an advantage in so many ways. In fact, he's one of the guys that who kind of kept Chris Curry's head in it.
Yeah.
And kept him locked in during the year last year.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you talk to people that are close to the situation and close to that running back room. Kevin Faulk really kept or was instrumental in keeping Curry dialed in throughout the season when it was probably easy for Curry to become discouraged or to think that, look, it's just not going to happen. And like T-Bob said, I think that Curry now feels like the consistent name in that running back competition heading into the fall, a guy that's going to probably be your opening day starter if I had to place a bet on it right now. But then you think about where TDP and where John Emery could be after a summer of training, another fall camp, a season under their belt with the explosiveness and the ability that they have. I mean, you're talking about a running back situation now that goes from one-headed monster in Clyde Edwards-Helaire into a true 3 running back rotation where they can hit you in different ways too. I mean, Curry can run downhill. He can catch it in a screen game. Emery obviously has the home run capability where he can bust it open from anywhere on the field. And then, TDP is just kind of he's that guy that'll just kind of punch and slug you all game long, tough to tackle, third, fourth quarter, and then has the breakaway ability to run away from you. I mean,
the one thing that the running back still got to prove though, and you would think that Emory may be best in this regard, but it is, where are they at in terms of the passing game? And normally when we talk about that, we talk about
protection?
it from a blocking. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Normally we talk about it from a protection standpoint. And although there's absolutely still value there, LSU showed last year they are more willing to engage in a lot more empty protection to get the running backs involved. So on top of being able to block, where are they in terms of route running, right? If you put a linebacker, like if you put all these guys one-on-one with a good linebacker, who's going to win the majority of the time? Because if you're trying to be the starter on this LSU offense, this new age LSU offense, then that is one of the key questions that you're going to have to ask, and that will be one of the key deciding factors in terms of who's going to end up winning that job.